e-commerce and logistics solutions company MailPac Group will be acquiring MyCart Express. That's the fastest growing and second largest courier company in Jamaica. Joining me now to discuss all about their acquisition and expansion plans, we have MailPac's Executive Chairman, Carrie Robinson. Hi, Carrie, it's been a while.
It has been, Khalila, it has been. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. The last time we had you on was 2019 when we just started this show.
I just saw you for that. You were carrying.
I was, and my son just celebrated his 4th birthday. So here we are.
Time flies fast.
4 years later, and it's because you have a big announcement to make. You have some news for us. We already kind of broke it already, but just give us the update because it's just bust today.
For sure. So I mean, obviously we'll go into a lot of it, but today we announced we signed a definitive agreement to acquire MyCart Express, which is the fastest growing courier company in Jamaica today, and the second largest. So we're excited about that for many reasons, from a group standpoint.
And what is this going to mean for the company, for MailPac?
So, when we got involved in MailPac in 2008, there was about, I don't know, maybe 10% of homes in Jamaica or less shopped online. So it was mostly people with high disposable income, with credit cards, and it was a nascent business. And so our focus was to focus on those, higher end customers with a high level of service, high level touch, and everything around our business was built for that. Over that time period, the business has expanded. I think we had maybe 3 competitors at that point. Today we have over 120. And I would venture to say at least 70% of households in Jamaica are doing some level of online shopping. And so you've seen where there's a segmentation based on price and service in the marketplace. And for a long time, MailPac then was stuck in trying to serve a number of segments from one platform. We were, for lack of better terms, trying to be everything to everybody. And that's never a good model for a business, right? So you need to stick to your core differentiators and be able to focus on your core segment. So we decided that we were going to create a second segment that focused on that core price-conscious segment of the market with a product called Swoop. We developed it, and the reason why we developed this is because we could never find a business that we could acquire that felt like it fit our model, right? Which is a much more scalable model and less of a mom and pop operator, which is what you find out there a lot in the marketplace today. And then coincidentally, our marketing agency introduced me to 2 founders of MyCart. And after that first meeting, I think both sides realized and recognized that there's a lot that could be created by bringing together all the resources and relationships and insights. These guys are young, aggressive, innovative, have done an exceptional job in building MyCart into what it is today, and we're just happy to now put those businesses together and be a part of that journey. I do want to clarify, though, when I say put those businesses together, MailPac will continue to be a separate brand from MyCart, and they will operate independently. They'll focus on their core customers. They'll focus on their core differentiators. So very different businesses within or under the group portfolio. But it will allow us to segment and target our customers in a way that we always wanted to, and support Aldain and Kamar in really taking MyCart to that next level, as well as them supporting us in taking the group to a much broader scale.
But you are looking to rebrand MailPac to MyPac. So how does that work if there's still 2 different companies?
Right. So the group, which is the holding company, think about the group as the holding company, was called MailPac Group because it only had one brand under it, right? It was MailPac. Now the group will have 2 separate brands with 2 separate identities. One will be MailPac and one will be MyCart. But just so that we ensure we don't confuse the market, because it's 2 very different products and 2 very different positioning across those products, the group itself will change its name to MyPac.
The group changes its name.
Correct.
All right. So
the group is not an operating entity. The group is a holding company. That's a publicly listed holding company. And that holding company, which will be, once the shareholders approve at the EGM, that holding company called MyPac will own 2 brands One will be MailPac, and MailPac will continue to serve its customers, and one will be MyCart, and that company will continue to serve its customers.
I see. So this is a change that really only affects shareholders, and
Correct.
only affects on a generic level anyway, because it's just a change in name. But when you go into your account, you're gonna see MyPac shares instead of MailPac shares.
Correct.
I see. So if I'm a MyCart customer, nothing changes. I still go to the same website to place my orders.
Absolutely. So one of the things that was important to us is that both companies, both brands remain distinct in their identities. They serve very different customers in very different ways with very different pricing, very different locations. And so at no point did we want to commingle that, because then you lose the value of being able to target different segments of the market with the two different brands. So there will continue to be independent brands that have their true identities and that people love. I mean, the MyCart customers love MyCart for what they provide, and MailPac customers love what they get from MailPac, and they'll continue to get that service from both sides.
Okay, so MailPac continues to focus on, I guess you would say, the higher end of the market, and then MyCart is for the budget-conscious persons.
For lack of more detail, yes, I would say yes. MyCart is definitely a value-focused brand, a value-focused platform, but that doesn't mean that innovation and service is not, superior or premier there, because one of the things that Aldane and Kamar, who you should meet at some point, I mean, awesome entrepreneurs, and they're going to become a part of our team. They built their own Miami warehouse platform and their own software that I think is market leading. And so it is built around the customers that they wanted to target. They understand that customer segment. And the truth is that customer segment is much broader than the customer segment that MailPac serves. And then MailPac now, who, really spent 10, 15 years building a core customer segment, but then was trying to trickle in a different segment because of where the market grew into, can now refocus on its core customers and give them a level of service and experience that those customers want.
I have a question from YouTube from one of our viewers. Andre Brown says, with Amazon delivering locally in Jamaica, what will be MailPac and MyCart strategy to fend off this competition? And not just Amazon, but you said there are 120 competitors now.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd ask me this because I saw your video on the Amazon threat. The reality is that Amazon has always had a ability to deliver directly to customers in Jamaica. They do it through a couple different providers like DHL, but what you get as a courier customer will never be able to be granted or provided from Amazon, because the courier platform is tailored for that last mile from Miami to Jamaica. So the way that we service our customers and provide address, the speed at which we deliver to Jamaica, the fact that we clear on a consolidated basis, which is a lot cheaper than clearing on an individual basis, the information that you have to provide to DHL or whoever the provider is versus what you do on our platforms and how that's done. It's a much more seamless, much more cost-efficient model. In fact, Amazon is looking to partner with entities that we know quite well. I can't talk out of turn, but know quite well, to try and create a little bit more seamlessness around that process. But it's not the Amazon piece for us is not a competitor today. They'll never be able to have the service that we have and the price that we have. Where we do see competition is in the broader market. As I said, 120 competitors. My lifestyle.
Freezing up. Is it me or is it him freezing up? I think he is freezing up. But I remember something that Carrie said to me way back in 2019 when they were just doing the IPO. Hopefully, you're back?
I am back.
Right, good.
Sorry.
Yeah, you froze just now. You were in the middle of saying that Amazon is not a competition to you. What is a competition is the 120 locally.
Correct. And the reality is that you see this in many markets, right? So you have a plethora of people that have entered the market, and you start to get less and less differentiation between each of those. But one of the things that we are excited about with now having MailPac and MyCart is that we have the platform to target both types of customers and really push out, a lot more locations, a lot more services, a lot more technology that will supersede anything that an individual, let's, for lack of better terms, mom and pop provider can provide. So I think over the next 18 months, you will see a lot of those smaller players start to refocus or, even fall out of the market. And you're going to see brands like MyCart and like MailPac have a lot more locations and serve their customers in a very different way than, has from the genesis of this business coming up. So we're excited about establishing the number one and number two platforms, as the industry becomes a little less or a little more commoditized.
But I remember speaking about this with you on that episode 4 years ago when you were doing the IPO. You're heavy on acquisition strategy. That's how MailPac really built up the brand and built up your presence in the market. So now that you have the number two, your biggest competitor, what percentage of the market does the group now control?
So it's hard to tell that number because the data is not ready. Like everything else in Jamaica, the data is not readily available. What I will say is that this acquisition has doubled our package volume. So we were number one in the market, and it has doubled our package volume. So that has done significantly well for us. But it is difficult to say what that provides for us in a market share basis. What it does for us, though, it gives us the potential for a lot of economies of scale and a lot of operational synergies. So you can imagine, we have a team that, for example, processes packages, from Miami or locally, and double the volume. You don't need the same amount of infrastructure. You can, deliver to the different locations, purchasing power with our air freight providers. There's a lot of opportunities that we're seeing. We haven't done or made any changes, and on the front end we don't plan to change the platforms at all. As I said, it's important that they retain their identity, but in the background between the two companies, you have about $800 million of admin expenses, things that we spend to run the business, the core of the business, that we should be able to rationalize and get some savings from, to create greater shareholder value.
All right, that's the money talking. So you're expecting revenues to go from what currently to what?
I always get myself in trouble when I answer these questions because I'm not always sure what I am allowed to say and not allowed to say. So I'll stick to the line that this doubles our volume. Obviously, MyCart pricing is different from that of MailPac, but this does double our package volume.
Well, we have a lot of questions online, so let me take some more of them. Jerome wants to know, will the doubling of volume and future growth lead to a consideration of purchasing or leasing a plane?
So I think it's every courier's dream to be completely independent. One of the things that MyCart and Alain and Kamar have done is create a level of independence at Miami and from a software perspective. And so, the only thing that we are left to get third-party support on is our air freight. So it is, it goes without saying that we will have to take a hard look at that with the level of volume that we have. Can't make any promises, but independence as a business is always something that we try and endeavor to have.
So that's a maybe?
That's a maybe.
That's how you want to. You're going to see. You're going to see how the money look. Next question comes from Learn, Grow, Invest. Speaking of acquisitions, does this leave room for other brands to come under MyPac? Any additional acquisitions planned?
Yeah, so it would be impossible for me to sit here and honestly say that acquisitions are never on the forefront of any business that Norbrook is involved in. So I think, you guys can just assume that whatever we're involved in, we grow on two engines. I've said this a million times. We grow on two engines. One is organic growth. How do we enhance revenues? How do we cut costs? But the other is obviously growing through acquisition. That said, I don't know if we will be looking aggressively at anything locally. I think that MyCart and MailPac give us the breadth in the two core markets that we want to go into. But that doesn't mean we don't have regional aspirations. I think that ourselves at MailPac, and now with Aldana and Kamar joining the team, there is a distinct desire to take what we've developed, not just in Jamaica, but outside of Jamaica. Norbrook has done that a couple of times with a couple of other businesses. And we think that we have the breadth of resources today now to really look aggressively at expanding outside of the shores of Jamaica.
Which markets are you looking at first?
The obvious ones.
Trinidad?
Scale matters for us, right? Scale matters. So we have a business in the Dominican Republic. It's the largest market in the Caribbean. We've done well there, and so obviously we will be looking there. Trinidad is a market that we have always had an eye on, and have endeavored to step into. And then what we've done recently is we've planted our flag in Central America, which is really Costa Rica and Panama are those two core markets there. And so we believe that if we are successful at getting an acquisition, it would come from one of those four countries, if not all.
Good stuff. Next question comes from Jerome. And I like that you're not limiting yourself to the English-speaking countries, because Latin America, huge. So Jerome wants to know, will this acquisition require a need to go over the share capital limit of the junior market?
That's a great question. Having the tax benefit of the junior market was important for us. It's probably 90% of the reason why we listed MailPac in the first place, just to make sure that we were being capital efficient and return efficient. And so anything we do, we would endeavor to ensure that we don't lose that benefit. So we have a couple unique structures that we've developed that we can't expose today, because it's our proprietary way of creating value while maintaining our tax status. But no, the short answer is that we would not anticipate and don't anticipate any change in the tax status and any increase over the $500 million capital limit.
So staying on the junior market. JBT is asking the money question. What was the value of the transaction?
So the beauty of this transaction is that it's a contingent payment based on the performance of MyCart in 2024. We structured the transaction that way because it was important for us to ensure that in all scenarios, as MyCart grows, and MyCart has been growing very rapidly, that this transaction is accretive to our existing shareholders. And so because it's a contingent payment, I can't tell you what the value is until the end of 2024. But shareholders can rest assured that regardless of whatever the outcome in 2024 for MyCart, that the transaction itself is going to be accretive for their shareholding.
And we'll see it on your financial statements when it comes out anyway.
Well, you won't see the closing. So the transaction closes in 12 months or thereafter, after we get the 2024 results, live results, or audited results. And that's when the formula that we have for the contingent payment kicks in. But what you will see is this transaction is expected to close in about 30 days. And the results of MyCart as a part of MailPac Group or MyPac, when the name changes, you'll see that hit our numbers immediately after that. So I think that by Q2, you'll see the full effect of the business for a quarter. And even in Q1, you probably see about a month and a half of the impact of MyCart.
Your Q2 is when? When is your
so we are December. So our Q2 will end June.
Okay. Next question comes from Michael. I know you had a meeting yesterday to consider dividends, and the viewers are all over it. Michael wants to know if you're paying out dividends this year.
So Michael should know that we pride ourselves on having the highest dividend yield in the stock market. And we continue and consistently pay out dividends. And so this year we expect that to be no different. So, we had our consideration. I can't speak on that consideration, obviously. But history has shown that MailPac has been a strong cash flow earner and has been a strong dividend producer for its shareholders.
Remind us what the dividend policy is.
Pay.
I love that. We shareholders love to hear that. Lanestra, one of our viewers, has an interesting suggestion. I think MailPac should further diversify the business and buy out one of those food delivery businesses. It's looking at that type of diversification, Karen?
So we've looked at a diversification across the e-commerce. When we look at our mission statement, our mission statement doesn't speak to just online shopping. It speaks to e-commerce and being a conduit between consumers and all e-commerce provider platforms. So, we launched a platform called Pack Your Barrel, which allows you to pack barrels digitally. We launched MailPac Local, which allows you to buy groceries locally online. We have our MyCart brand and MailPac as well. And so we will obviously continue to find ways to use a digital platform or e-commerce to bring convenience, savings, and choices to consumers wherever we serve them. And food is obviously one of those. So it's not lost on us the opportunity in food delivery and in securing or acquiring food through a digital platform. But can't say what our plans or the timing around that will be.
Interesting. This is exciting news, especially for shareholders and remembering where you're coming from 2008 up until now. You mentioned Pack Your Barrel just now, PYB. Tell us give us an update on how that's been going since you launched in 2022.
Yes, we launched in 2022. Pack Your Barrel is growing steadily. I think about the founders of MailPac, who always tell a story that they used to sit in people's offices just to tell them about MailPac and convince them that online shopping was something that could be done. And when they sold us the business in 2008, they would never have dreamt that today MailPac is where it is and the market is where it is. Very similarly, packing your barrel online feels to be in that nascent stage. So what is important to us and what the team always hears me say is that we need to be better today than we were yesterday. So we need to see consistent growth, consistent engagement. We have some very cool programs. We've engaged some schools to try and tap into the diaspora with these diaspora/affinity programs. But the concept of packing a barrel has culturally been: you take a barrel, you go to your house, you go to Target, you go to Walmart, you pack it up, you go to the shipper, you ship it off. Somebody then goes to the wharf and clears it, and this process that is very engaging and but takes a lot of effort. And what we are doing is digitizing that so that you can sit at home, pick a barrel, pack, shop, stuff goes in your barrel, it goes digitally on the ship, it goes to Jamaica, and it's delivered directly to the home. But changing that mindset, changing that culture is not going to happen overnight. So again, we appreciate that this is a long tail business and we have to continue to commit to it and keep getting people awareness and exposure to it. But we're really excited about it and the progress we've made so far.
What about the reverse? You think it's time for barrels to go from Jamaica to diaspora markets because they have heavy demand for local products too?
That's something that for years we've talked about, and there's been some companies that have stepped into that space. But again, for us, Khalila, it's important that we focus on our core, but also on the areas where we see scalability and then build out from there. So I do think that, similar to Amazon, right? Amazon won't be coming to the Caribbean and building a warehouse anytime soon because they have China to go and do that in, and India and Brazil and so on. For the same way for us, we want to make sure that we have a footprint in all of those countries that I just told you about. And once we have a footprint there and we have a relationship with those customers, between MyCart and MailPac, we will have over 100,000 touch points, people that we talk to and serve on a regular basis. At that point, we can then start to say, okay, how do we create more value for these people or the people that they relate to, whether they are a food producer and they want to ship abroad and so on. But we have to get our footprint in there, in a strong way, and so that's really our focus now.
By the way, how are shipping prices now? Because I remember during COVID that just went crazy. Shipping prices are back to normal now?
Shipping prices are back to normal. I mean, we don't, do, other than the barrel business, we don't do much sea freight, which is where you saw the big rise during COVID. Air freight, stayed pretty steady. What we have seen in this industry, intriguingly, because you have so many people that have entered it, is that pricing hasn't moved in about 7 years in this industry. And we know what has happened to cost in this industry over the last 7 years. Air freight has gone up, labor has gone up, fuel has gone up, and so on. And so, there's this dynamic, and this happens in many industries, that we expect again that there is going to be a fallout of some of those, more mom and pop providers, and more established players that can leverage their scale and scope to expand their margins, will end up remaining, and then you'll see some settling of pricing. But no, the air freight pricing really hasn't changed on either side.
But your pricing for MailPac and MyCart, both of those will stay the same for existing customers.
Correct. I want to make sure that it's very clear that it's business as usual for MailPac and it's business as usual for MyCart. Both brands are extremely successful. Both brands serve their customers very well, and both brands are very different. And it's interesting that you get to have that dynamic, and we're so excited about that, because a lot of times you are good in a market and the market shifts, and so you no longer have relevance, or you can't serve the customers in the right way. And that's where MailPac was, I would say, over the last 18 to 24 months. We were trying to catch our feet and say, who are we? We know who we were 10 years ago, but no, this huge market over here has been created. So do we try to go over there? Do we try to be everything to everybody? And with this acquisition, no, we don't have to worry about that, because, and MyCart, same way, right? MyCart was saying, okay, how do I get some of MailPac's customers? And so they were trying to be over here while still focusing on their core over here. Now both brands get to cement themselves as the leading provider in their distinct market segments. And that should just unlock a ton of value for the teams, the operations, as well as for the shareholders.
Big news. All right. I wanted to take this question from IG, but I don't know how to put it on the screen. But it comes from Unruly NASA, who wants to know, what's the price range to ship a barrel through Pack Your Barrel?
That's a good question.
There it is.
And so if you go to packyourbarrel.com, I'm sure it's all there. We have 4 barrel types, 4 barrel sizes, and the pricing of each barrel is there. But I know you pay for your barrel first, then you pay for the service of having the barrel packed and delivered to you. But it's all there on packyourbarrel.com.
All right, so just go to the website, viewer, and find it out, packyourbarrel.com. Next question, final question.
Use a discount code Kalila Reynolds. I'm sure it will work.
Okay, you better not tell people that, and there's no discount, If you're telling them that, you better create that discount code right now.
You have to put it in right now. I hope the team is listening.
Yeah, people are gonna try using it. Make sure you spell my name correctly too. The last time you were on the program, because Norbrook has several other companies under your portfolio, as you mentioned earlier on in the interview as well. The last time you were here, they put it on the screen. Use discount code. It better work. Give them a few minutes, guys.
I know.
Yeah, the last time you were here, we were talking about the possibility of IPO for other companies. Devon wants to know, when can we expect Express Fitness to list? That was high on the agenda at the time. Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I would say that 2024, I would not be surprised if Express doesn't list in 2024. I mean, so the company had looked at a listing in 2019, and then COVID came. We know what that did to the fitness business and the gym business. But the business was forced to become super efficient, super engaging with its customers. I mean, the culture of the company had to really become a lot more captive to keep and grow its customer base, and it has paid off tremendously. I mean, it's now operating at its highest level. I would say that if I'm to think, we're probably about 30 or 40% more customers today than we had in 2019, and maybe 10 times more profitable, and no exaggeration. So we're excited about where the business is. That business is also looking to expand in different modalities in Jamaica, so other fitness solutions, as well as to expand regionally through acquisition. So I would not be surprised if we don't list in 2024, and to take advantage of leveraging that capital to really expand.
Hold on, just clarify. You would not be surprised if you don't list, or you wouldn't be surprised if you do list?
So I would expect to list in 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much clearer. Thank you for that clarification. And well, we're gonna leave it there, Carrie, unless you have anything else that you want to tell us before we go.
No, I think this is, I think and Kristen definitely knows that I hardly like to talk. I don't like being in the public eye, but this was a important step for MailPac Group. I mean, if you look at our quarterly reports, we have been talking about expansion through acquisition for a long time. We've been talking about differentiating our platform and adding new solutions. And this acquisition not only solved for both of those, but it's bringing in two great founders in Kamara and Aldain, who I'm sure again you'll meet at some point, and a great team at MyCart. So we're super excited about what the future holds for MailPac Group.
Well, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the acquisition.
Thank you so much.